Sukkot is man simchasenu. And you know the story that someone says, why is Sukkot man simchasenu? Well, he figured out why. In his house, everyone is screaming, yelling at each other. He goes, I wish I had a normal house where everyone stopped complaining and there'd be some respect. Then it comes out to the sukkah. He's on the porch with 15 other sukkahs. He hears the same screaming everywhere else. He goes, oh, so everyone's like this. So that's why sukkah says man simchasenu. That's a shot I once heard. You know, I was once in a bungalow colony. There was a very, very thin wall between the bungalows. And I remember once my wife asked me to hang up a picture. So I banged in a nail and my neighbor came knocking. He said, I have no problem with it, but do you mind if I hang my hat on the other side of it? That's what he said. Know the story of the lady that's looking down through the window and she says, Mrs. So-and-so, can I please have some of that cheesecake? The lady looks up and says, that's a lot of nerve. That's a lot of nerve for you to look down and see what I'm baking. And anyway, you cannot have cheesecake. You're not allowed. Why not? Because you're fleischig. Okay. So you know the story, the person that says to his wife, I think we need a thicker wall. His wife says, why? I think our neighbor is listening in. All of a sudden they hear, it's not a problem. You don't need a thicker wall. Don't worry about it. That's what they hear from the other side. So in a way, think about this for a moment. What is the sukkah? Sukkah, we look up, we see the schach. You have to see the stars. We're closer to Hashem. Hashem hears us. It doesn't make a difference whether we're on top of a skyscraper or we're all the way down, at the bottom of a landmine. It doesn't make a difference of a coal mine. Hashem, I hope you're not at the bottom of a landmine. But Hashem hears us. The difference about sukkah is, here we have to feel more that Hashem hears us. He knows how we feel. And no one has it easy during these days. It says, V'samachta b'chagecha, be happy with your Yom Tov. Your Yom Tov means who you are. Just take all your problems, take your challenges, the challenges that Klal Yisrael is facing together. Do me a favor. Let Hashem do the driving. Sfasema says, don't sit in Hashem's seat. That's what Sfasema says. Hashem says, now to sit in your father's seat, don't sit in my seat. Just relax. Relax. Get out there and do what you can. Make somebody else happy. V'samachta b'chagecha. Try. Smile to someone else. Tell them, listen, let's stop worrying. There's nothing we can do about it. We'll act responsibly. We'll do the right thing. Just sit back and draw. Draw on the simcha of the moment, because the Abarbanel says if you have simcha now, the simcha lasts throughout the entire year. I remember when I first got married, one of my rebbeim said to me, you're going to get a credit card bill. And you want to know about Shalom Bayis? The credit card bill comes in two parts. There's the top part and the bottom part. The top part says how much you owe. The bottom part lists all the expenses. He says, you give your wife the bottom part, you take the top part. That's why it's made with a perforated line, and that's why you're going to have Shalom Bayis. And that's our relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu also. You know what Yom Tov means? Here's the top part, here's the bottom part. Rabbanu Shalom, my life is in your hands. It's in your hands. You gave me a mitzvah to be happy. Help me to be happy. So the Sfasema says, Melech mei misumachaya, the king decides when it's time for a person to live this world, and he gives life. That is Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Matzmiach Yeshua, the Yeshua sprouts forward, salvation sprouts forward. That's Hoshana Rabbah. That's Hoshana Rabbah. We're holding the Aravos. Rabbi Avram Elimelech, he was the stolen Rebbe, risked his life, gave away his life. He was in Eretz Yisrael, went back to Europe to be with his Hasidim right before the war. And he once told two Hasidim that were schmoozing Hoshana Rabbah night, he says, it probably is very important what you're talking about. You should have done a Kol Nidrei, not tonight. The night of Hoshana Rabbah is special. What makes it so special? I'm going to read to you a very short story from the book Our Man in Jerusalem, which I think is a wonderful, wonderful, maybe this is a good time of the year to read it. But he talks about the Geffner family of Nea Sharim. They were blessed with 18 children, and they lived very comfortably in a 2-room apartment. 18 children lived very comfortably in a 2-room apartment. It's all in the mind. It's all in the heart. When the head of the family passed away, the Levaya left from the home of one of his sons who lived in Kiryat Sanz. And the Levaya was completely unique. You see, Rav Menachem Mendel Geffner, known as the greatest Baal Tefillah in Nea Sharim, had written in his will that if he passed away on a Friday, he has a special request for his family in general. When a body is carried, in general, when a body is carried out of the shul for the final time, the sons stop every few feet and they say Kaddish. So Rabbi Nachum Mendel Gefner, okay, Rabbi Nachum Mendel Gefner, Yerushalayim Dikabal Tefillah, he said like this, that if his Levaya, for whatever reason, would be on a Friday, for whatever reason, meaning that God declared it that way, because he's supposed to be the Bal Tefillah, I guess, Leil Shabbos up there in Shemayim, then I want you to sing Shabbos Miros instead of Kaddish. Every time, stop, sing Shabbos Miros. And these are real Yerushalmis. They have no problem with it, They have, so the entire, and he was nifter on Erev Shabbos, and the entire funeral procession stopped, much the same as a regular Levaya. Instead of Kaddish, it was Shalom Aleichem. They went a little further, stopped, right? Shabbos, Kaddish, a little further, they stopped. Menucha v'simcha. They sang all the Shabbos Miros, all the way up until the body was put into the Chevra Kadish's van, and they sung all his mirais, and when the final note faded, then his body was taken to his kever in Har HaZeisim. In the book he wrote on the 6-Day War, General Uzi Narkis quoted a line attributed to King Hussein of Jordan, when they really upset at him that he lost, his part of the Jordanian side of Yerushalayim. So at one point he said, "What can I do against Gefner and the power of his song?" Because as his body was being taken and they were singing these mirais, I guess they reported to him, the Jordanian legions were looking down and watching this, and somehow he had a feeling that I can't penetrate that song. You know what Hoshana Rabbah is? I don't know where you're going to be doing your Hoshanas, where you're going to be dancing. Could be around your own dining room table. Doesn't make a difference. But in that song, we have the power to create fortifications that are going to protect us throughout the entire year. Forget the world. Forget politics. Forget elections. Forget what's going to happen. It's not in our hands. Hashem is the one that's driving the world. Our job in the next 3 days, the Zohar Kodesh says is some of the most powerful days in the world. Hoshana Rabbah, Shmini Atzeres, and Simchas Torah. We can do it. In our own assignment and our own challenge, our job is to create the song. Make someone else happy. That someone else could be your wife, your husband, your son, your daughter, your shviger, whoever's around you. Hashem takes care of the itinerary and he arranges the appointments. And the time will come, as Hashem Yisbarach, when there'll be Geula and Yeshua on a personal level, on a level for Klal Yisrael. Look around and think, spend some time, dance around the table, think who needs a shidduch, think who needs a Yeshua, who has a kid out there on the street, daven for them, sing a niggin for them. Because the King of all kings one day will say, it was your power of song that did it. Good Yantiv.